11th round of the TVR Tuscan Challenge. The size of the field and the small size of the track, the qualified as usual is 2 groups. The first will race here, the second group will race in race 2, and then they will all be put together for race 3, God help them. Colin Blower alongside Bobby Verden-Rowe. There is Verden-Rowe, the familiar white and blue machine, some half a second quicker than Blower in qualifying. Blower nearly stalls it as he tries to avoid jumping the start, following Bobby Verden-Rowe away from the line with Chris Lord, the number 43, the yellow machine there. Colin Blower slips in ahead of him. Lord started third on the grid. Alongside Lord is Ian Flux. That's a great start from Flux. He started in 7th place, picked up 4 spots in the couple of 100 yards down to the first corner. Well, some impressive getaway that was. Bobby Verden-Rowe leads them then around this undulating Mondello Park circuit. It rises, climbs, dives and falls through this grassy Irish scenery. A very tight track though for these big monsters, the TVRs, and Ian Flux really charging hard. In 5th place at the moment and looking to take 4th. Goes around the outside and then tries to chop to the inside of Chris Lord. Well, Lord trying to hold on, but Flux is up into 4th place, being followed through by Phil Hindley. Phil Hindley gunned away from the start, but dropped by Ian Flux, and here we are now chasing those two with Chris Lord. So Lord from 3rd on the grid, all his qualifying efforts to naught as he goes back down the order, and Hindley goes down inside Flux. This is the real overtaking manoeuvre on the circuit at the end of the main straight. No chance here, wheels pouring the air as they drop down out of that left-hander, and Flux coming back at him now. Flux through the inside, goes past under braking, and again onto the brakes for this right-hander. Powering away up the hill goes Ian Flux, the championship leader coming into this race. Doesn't want to let Bobby Verden-Rowe get too far ahead, nor does Colin Blower, mind you. Steve Cole behind him. Grant Tromans on the back of this pack. So through they stream. There is Tromans, the familiar Dayglow yellow colours. And ahead of him is Gavin Cooper, the number 9 machine. Ian Flux under pressure from Phil Hindley in no uncertain terms. Flux 3rd, Hindley 4th. 5th place at the moment for Chris Lord. And then 6th and 7th for Cooper and Tromans. Down into the first right-hander, and a chance now for Chris Lord, if he hadn't missed that gear a little there, to make a lunge at Phil Hindley. But even as we watched there on board Phil Hindley making a mistake, so too did our cameraman. Bobby Verden-Rowe starting to ease away now. The stopper in the bottle here is Colin Blower. Steve Cole behind looks to be a little quicker, and so certainly does Ian Flux, and probably Phil Hindley as well. But Colin Blower doing a very good job of holding them all up, keeping them away from the tail of Bobby Verden-Rowe. Verden-Rowe, of course, thankful for that, I'm sure. Onto the straight again, rushing down, powering through the gears. Flux looking to make a move if he can. Look at the margin that Verden-Rowe has opened up. Flux has to go wide, no chance to move down the inside. So Ian Flux very definitely bottled up, not having to worry too much about Phil Hindley for the moment. Phil Hindley doesn't quite seem to have the speed of this 2nd place battle. Blower, Cole, Flux tied together, and then Phil Hindley, a few car lengths back, just about safe from Chris Lord in the yellow car. Puff of smoke again from the locking tyres as Bobby Verden-Rowe really pushes this hard, trying to build up an advantage now so he can get to mid-distance and then ease back. Ian Flux still diving around behind Steve Cole. Flux very close, a little bit out of shape coming onto the main straight. That shouldn't have him too close to Cole. Cole guarding the inside line. He knows that if he moves too far to the left on the straight there, Flux will be down the inside, trying to make sure there's no room for him. With a thundering horsepower from the AJP V8s in these cars, they lap this circuit very, very quickly indeed. Qualifying laps in the 56-second margin, and race laps here just hundredths over 1 minute. But unfortunately for cars this size, even with the reasonably long braking distances that the TVR Tuscans have. It is a very tight, twisty circuit at Mondello. It's very much like an Oulton Park but shrunk in the wash. Fantastic corners, very demanding for the drivers. Really great fun, I'm sure, when you're out front like Bobby Burden-Rowe. But for Ian Flux here, ultimately very, very challenging and very frustrating. So Burden-Rowe still in sight. Flux can see him flashing ahead in the distance, I'm sure. Ian Flux now very close indeed to Steve Cole. The dark blue car ahead of him. Still, they whistle round the circuit here. Flux darting all over the road, desperately trying to find a way past. Only 12 short laps to do it in. 12 minutes and a few more seconds. Maybe even less. So a very brief race for these two qualifying races, effectively, for the first qualifying group here and for the second one later on in the day before they all get together for the main race. If Flux is frustrated here, imagine what drivers in the lower reaches of the top 10 will be like with the entire field on the track for the main race. Grant Troman's now past the number 9 machine of Gavin Cooper, picked up a place, so it's evidently possible to pass. At the moment, though, Ian Flux with the vastly experienced Steve Cole ahead of him. And Cole with the equally experienced Colin Blower in front, all finding it very hard to move on. Phil Hindley just can't keep in touch with this group, though. You would have thought with all the battling between them, he should be right with it. But although he's safely ahead of 43 Chris Lord, he just can't stay with them. Riding with Lord now, following Phil Hindley onto the main straight once more. Blower leading them down. Flux still darting around, looks to the outside. He's clearly trying to chop across to the inside and get a better run out of the corner, give himself better drive out of the corner, but all to no avail, getting nowhere. Nigel Tuscan there, number 11, trying to work his way up in that tail end group. Only the 12 cars on the track here, still seeming fairly busy. Now Ian Flux is really pushing hard to make a move. He's got his nose alongside the rear wheel of the car ahead. Steve Cole just holding the line, knows that Flux will have to run wide, ease off the throttle a fraction, make him go the long way round. It's the only way possible. And still Flux really tearing into this battle. Just a little touch there as he gets onto the power very early indeed, coming through the corner. Out he comes. His headlamps must be starting to bubble up the paintwork on the back of Steve Cole's car. He's so close here. Cole just betraying how close to the limit they are there. Another puff of tyre smoke, and Bobby Burden-Rowe already in among the slower cars. Well, safely past for Colin Blower, but now comes the crunch for Steve Cole. This is pressure, slower car ahead, and Ian Flux right on his bumper behind. And somebody rejoining there. Steve Cole avoids him, and again Ian Flux tries to go around the long way. Steve Cole really under pressure now. Those lockups becoming bigger and bigger, and Flux makes a move. Oh dear! Disaster! Flux gets hooked up on Steve Cole's rear end. The splintering fiberglass of the bodywork makes it look much more dramatic than it was. Gestures from Cole. What are you doing? Well, that took them out of it, and Bobby Burden-Rowe romping home to victory from Colin Blower, Phil Hindley, Chris Lord, Gavin Cooper and Grant Troman's the top 6. Disaster for Ian Flux, the championship leader. Very, very early on the power here, trying to find a way past Cole, but instead his front wheel mounts Steve Cole's rear wheel. The two cars locked together. Very odd incident. It'll be many months before we see anything like that. Victory then for Bobby Burden-Rowe in his first race, and Ian Flux failing to score. So there are the top 6. The start for race 2 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge, 11th round here in Ireland at Mondello. Caught on pole position, the lime green car, Jamie Campbell-Walter, Matt Doman and Tim Hood next up, looking back from Short's car. There's Matt Doman. Good start from Short, good start from Doman, but Campbell-Walter ahead already. Great start from here. Ian McKellar with the checkered nose on the yellow car. Comes safely through some bumping and boring at the first corner. Pink car of Rod Gretton, it looked like being spun around there in that confused view of the pack, but no confusion about the front runners, looking back from second to third. Martin Short in second place, our camera car at the moment, and Ian McKellar very, very close indeed. Jamie Campbell-Walter just a couple of car lengths ahead. 34 Matt Doman in fourth place. Seventh there, the purple car, Peter Wheeler, the boss of the company. The chairman running around in this second group. His development engineer, John Reed, racing in the earlier race. Tim Hood there, 26, bonnet askew, just following behind Rod Gretton, so I think we can put 2 and 2 together there after the start of the race. Campbell-Walter, Martin Short. Ian McKellar looking around the outside as Short makes a lunge. Not really an overtaking manoeuvre, but a very worrying lunge for Campbell-Walter all the same. Jamie Campbell-Walter out front. Martin Short, a very experienced competitor and a very hard racer. Right with him in the lime green Mole Valley car there. The black and yellow Hawthorns machine leading it though. Jamie Campbell-Walter, an old head on young shoulders. The young single-seater man who came into this TVR Tuscan Challenge at the end of last season for a couple of one-off drives and couldn't believe how much fun he was having for his money. Decided that a year in TVR Tuscans would be a very good thing indeed, and he's been one of the front runners all season, so that proved to be a very good choice indeed. Stephen Radcliffe leading this group through here in fifth, and in sixth place was Peter Faulkner from Killiney, just outside Dublin. Out front though, Jamie Campbell-Walter, Martin Short, Ian McKellar. In between them here, number 18, Brian Colwell, being lapped after his earlier excursion. There's McKellar, the flash of yellow, in third place, and he's pulled a long way ahead of Matt Doman, the fourth place man. Martin Short, for all his efforts, just can't really get to grips with Jamie Campbell-Walter here. Campbell-Walter driving a mature race, taking victory. Great start really gave him the win there. McKellar third, there he is. Matt Doman, headlights ablaze, comes across the line in fourth place. And still the yellow car of Steve Radcliffe in fifth, having started 12th on the grid, a blistering start for him. This is the third race of round 11. The qualifying groups were split. One half raced themselves, the other half raced themselves, and now they come together. And on the first of 2 warm-up laps, in more ways than one, Phil Hindley on the right there, for some reason hitting the back of Ian McKellar's car. McKellar seemed to be slowing perhaps to avoid Martin Short, but later on around the warm-up laps, this ensued. Now there's been a degree of rivalry between the two drivers during the season, which may well have boiled over there. One of them thinking he was wronged. Whatever, I'm sure the TVR racing authorities will be looking at that quite closely. Bobby Burton-Rowe and Jamie Campbell-Walter ready to go on the front of the grid. All alone on row 3, Ian McKellar looking back from Martin Short from the second row of the grid. He was second in his race, and he goes right into the middle of the pack. And a very, very good start from Ian McKellar, going around the outside of Colin Blower, or trying to. Chris Lord finds himself on the grass, and he's right behind the number 9 machine, Gavin Cooper. He had a race-long scrap with him in the first race, but trouble for Matt Doman. Oh dear, oh dear. John Reed, the TVR development engineer, the number 12 there, pulling away from the first corner, but Matt Doman without any gears, and certainly, I'm sure, in deep technical problems there. Meanwhile, back out front, the problem for the leaders is to try and find some space. A very, very busy racetrack. Bobby Burton-Rowe leads Jamie Campbell-Walter, third Martin Short, fourth Ian McKellar, fifth is Colin Blower, sixth is the number 9 machine, that's Gavin Cooper, good start from him. As they come across the line at the end of the first lap, and Cooper under pressure from behind from our cameraman Chris Lord as they come down into the first corner. Lord looking to the inside, but Cooper's got it pretty much covered. Chris Lord trying desperately to get past. Oh dear, and another spinner. That's Martin Gilchrist rejoining in the Kangaroo car, and look at the state of the front of Phil Hindley's car. Well, he started from the pit lane with a taped up bonnet, but the tape has not done its job and the bodywork is coming apart. Bobby Verdon-Roe still leading then from Jamie Campbell-Walter. These two very close together. 2 more car lengths further back only is Martin Short with Ian McKellar glued to his back bumper. So there should be some fairly frantic racing going on between this group. First, second, third and fourth, close as you'd like. Colin Blower dropping back a fraction. We ride with the leader, onto the straight we come. Accelerating hard, changing up the gears, they really do pick up the speed down the little incline there, across start finish, and a fast run down to this heavy braking area for the tight first corner. Martin Short having another sniff around the back of Jamie Campbell-Walter, but to no avail. Then swinging left down here, riding the curbs as the road drops away in the left-hander. Great corner, and look at the amount of rubber being built up there as the cars break traction at the back under power. And then this right-hand corner over the brow, downhill, a fast sweeping left-hander, and then into a double right onto the brakes, and then quick squirt onto the brakes again for the tightening right-hander at the end of it. Full power from the leaders. Phil Hindley really can't see as much as he would like, I'm sure. We ride with Bobby Verdon-Roe. Out the way, Phil Hindley, he's pointing to the right, he's not going to the pits, he's being black flagged though. Thumbs up from him to show that he's seen that black flag message. Now he's got his hand out to alert everybody else to the fact that he will be going slowly. Martin Short nips past him, but Ian McKellar can't. Phil Hindley right ahead of Ian McKellar. Colin Blower next up. Verdon-Roe, Campbell-Walter, Short. McKellar gets past Hindley, and Hindley now heading round on his way to the pits, having been black flagged, but he's having a very, very sustained assault on the back of Ian McKellar's car. What can he be thinking of? And he's passed him. Well, he's a lap down already and heading for the pits. I'm afraid Phil Hindley is probably having a little bit of a rush of blood to the head at the moment. He's getting the blue flag from the marshals to let him know that there's somebody behind who wants to get past. I'm sure he's well aware of exactly who that somebody is as well, just in the same way that Bobby Verdon-Roe is very well aware of what's going on behind him. Phil Hindley waves again. This time they all go past. Gavin Cooper on the brakes early, and a move down the inside here from our cameraman. Chris Lord gets it all wrong. Can he hold on? Misses the gear. He's still going. Gavin Cooper nowhere to be seen in this view though, so Chris Lord seems to have picked up the place. Gavin Cooper, I think, probably spun out there. 1, 2, 3, through go the leaders. Verdon-Roe, Campbell-Walter and Short now, another half dozen car lengths behind them. Then Colin Blower, and retiring on the inside there, somebody else pulling off. Number 18. Brian Colwell coming round very slowly in front of the leaders, so a chance now for Campbell-Walter perhaps. If Verdon-Roe catches him at the wrong place, he'll have to start braking early, but no, they both stream past on the straight. Martin Short gets caught out this time, bottled up behind the slower car. He looks to go down the inside. He's got the headlamps alight, and Brian Colwell's already been passed by the leader, so he leaves the door open. Then Colin Blower, then Ian McKellar. 6th is Chris Lord, then the lapped Phil Hindley. So that means 8th place, just going through the shot there, was Ian Flux. Well, Ian Flux didn't finish his race, started well down the order. So now he's having to do an awful lot of work to try and fight his way back into contention. And if the race continues in this manner, then the current leader, Bobby Verdon-Roe, will also take over the lead of the championship. So Ian Flux has an awful lot on his plate. Oh, Steve Hyde in trouble, off backwards into the gravel trap. The number 10 Barclays Mercantile car out of the race. What a shame. Bobby Verdon-Roe out front, and Campbell-Walter has yet to get a wheel alongside the blue and white machine ahead of him. Through they come. Martin Short still third. Then a big, big gap indeed. 4th and 5th go through. Ian McKellar just chasing Colin Blower. And again, the problems mounting for the leader. How to deal with the traffic. streams past into the left-hander, so no problems at all there for Verdon Rowe or for Campbell Walter. Sensible driving by Rod Gretton. Nobody wants to get in the way of the championship battle as it reaches its climax of the season. Martin Short will come up behind him as they arrive at the main straight and will breeze past without any problems. Verdon Rowe still leading this battle of the hyphens. Jamie Campbell Walter in second place. Bobby Verdon Rowe out front. Through they come. Martin Short still third. Martin Short not close enough at the moment to make them think about looking behind for him, but close enough if they come to blows to pick up the pieces and still avoid their accident, that's for sure. But it hasn't looked like coming that way at any stage during this race. 27 Bobby Verdon Rowe, 28 Jamie Campbell Walter have had a tough but very clean, very fair race. Campbell Walter still unable to make a move. The Team Central car out front, Hawthorn's TVR machine in second place. Riding again with Verdon Rowe. Again, charging down the straight. And once more, the back markers using the mirrors and making very clear their intentions, signalling the leaders which side will be the safe one to go past. And that sort of thing, always welcomed by race leaders or anybody dicing for position in among the back markers. A bit of courtesy never goes far amiss. And the little heart flutters and moments of worry that Bobby Verdon Rowe will be experiencing every time he encounters traffic as to which way should I go, what's he going to do. When you see the hand come out of the cockpit and signal to you, all of that goes, and immediately you're thinking about the next thing, looking ahead to the next corner, the braking area. Make sure that you give nothing away in terms of half a glimmer of hope to your opposition. But this time, right up behind the number 25 machine, they are all bottled up. Oh dear, Martin Short closed substantially there, but then ran up behind the kangaroo car of Martin Gilchrist and was unable to gun it away down the straight as much as he would like. There is Gilchrist behind as we look back from Short's machine, but Short there given a second breath, and he is now closing down on the leaders. Phil Hindley with a lot more tape and considerably less bonnet on the TVR, rejoining the race there. So still going round. Doubtless we'll catch him with the leaders fairly soon as well. Here they come. Now, Martin Short, more of a factor in this equation. Look at him now. Second wind and then some. He really is charging up behind Jamie Campbell Walter. Campbell Walter, the young racing instructor. And Martin Short, the wily old stager, runs his safety rollover devices and suspension company, in addition to being a very, very doughty competitor in saloons and in sports cars. Verdon Rowe safely through. There is number 12, John Reeves, the TVR development engineer, allowing things to develop nicely in this second place battle. Martin Short looking to the outside, hard on the brakes, goodness me. He really is pushing it here in these final few corners. Time and tide wait for no man, nor does the checkered flag. Well, perhaps it's waiting for Bobby Verdon Rowe already. Massive lock-up from Verdon Rowe now. He's got a little bit of time and distance. He can push the car a touch harder. His tyres, he's looked after them well, but he has been under pressure, and even they are starting to give out now. Behind him, look at this though, Martin Short giving it everything. Martin Short trying for second position in the final corner. Campbell Walter comes out ahead. It's a rush to the flag. Verdon Rowe wins it. Who'll be second? Just Jamie Campbell Walter. Third, Martin Short. Colin Blower is fourth. There's Ian McKellar behind him. And out of the corner in sixth place comes Ian Flux. A great race from Fluxy. He's punching the air with delight, and so he should. Chris Lord just behind him in seventh place. Bobby Verdon Rowe, Jamie Campbell Walter, they're giving him the cold, wet neck treatment. Verdon Rowe wins the race and now in the lead of the championship after 11 rounds.